Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Capital W Collective Mentoring Series, Mentoring Matters. I'm Dr. Stacey, your host, and I'm excited to bring professionals of various mortgage industry roles who will share their wealth of experiences, insights, and recommendations from their own mentoring journeys. If you know Capital W Collective, you know our commitment to education in the capital market space. And in this series, we'll discuss the impact and importance of mentoring, no matter your role, educating you on what to do to elevate yourself and feel empowered to lean into mentoring. Today, our guest is Salpi Meyer, my good friend and great cohort on the education committee with Capital W, but she's a rock star in other ways too. And I've had the great pleasure of talking with her a few times. So I would love, Salpi, for you to introduce yourself to the group. But first, thank you for being here with us. And thank you for what you do for Capital W Collective Education Committee as well.
Thank you, Stacey. First of all, right back at you, rockstar. So, Amy, I'm looking forward to our little chat. So, what do? I am EVP of Sales at Plaza Correspondent Channel. My career has always been in correspondent from a million years ago. So, I could say the year, but maybe you won't say the year.
I tend to leave that part out.
Yeah. So do I. So we'll just say a long time, many years in the correspondent space, just kind of growing through the ranks, starting as a sales assistant, becoming an account executive, and then moving on to a regional manager and then a national manager. My career starts back at Countrywide back in the day, and then Bank of America once they acquired Countrywide, and then wound up with Plaza here in 2012. And I've been here since, and I love it. And again, I think what I love about my career, besides obviously working with clients, is the people we work with at the company, whether it's our operations teams or the rest of the sales teams. You learn a lot from each other, and the camaraderie is great. And I love that even though I wasn't anywhere else in the industry in terms of retail or wholesale, my correspondent clients taught me everything I needed to know about the business because they were the originators. So while I'm helping them and coaching them and working with their successes, they're teaching me, oh, this is what the borrower cares about, or, oh, this is what the broker cares about. So it's been a great journey. And here we are many, many years later, still doing it and loving it.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. And it's amazing how small but large this mortgage industry and the community is. You and I have, our careers have crossed paths, although we didn't work together, but same companies. It's just crazy how we end up back with the same people who've been along the path with us, whether we were cognizant of them or not. You're right. The people are what makes all the difference. It truly is. And I've had the pleasure of chatting with you a bit about mentoring too and your own journey. And one thing that really stood out to me is your very non-traditional lens for mentoring and how you've been engaged in mentoring. And I was hoping you would share with our audience a bit more about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. But just going back real quick to what you're saying, such a small business, Plaza was my very first client as I was getting up the ranks, right? So how fun is that? And then I worked with them and they pursued me in 2012. We sat on a little rock together talking to each other, the CEO and I, Kevin Parra. It was fantastic. And you think, you know what? It's a good thing these clients loved me and I love them because you just don't know.
Right.
We have a great industry. We all eventually, like you were saying, cross paths. So it's great. But back to your other question, the non-traditional method. So really what I did, because I didn't really have anybody to mentor me as I was growing through the ranks in my career, I took pieces from every manager I had, right? So I would have a direct sales manager, and then she would have her own manager, and we would go on the road together. And I remember thinking, oh, I like the way this manager talks and pitches things. And then I like the way she does this. So I took a little bit of pieces of every single person that's been in my career path, be it a coworker, a sales manager, one of our leaders at Countrywide. I always wanted to take little pieces and then create my own. And then that's what I took in when I became a leader, whether it was at Countrywide B of A or here at Plaza, is I took bits and pieces of everybody I learned from. I made it my own little recipes. Like I cooked my own little leadership recipe because of all the good people I came across. And then I put that out to the folks on my team and our colleagues here at Plaza. And I think it's really helped and make the difference.
I love that. And that is such an authentic way to mentor others because it really is. You took those pieces and parts from other people, but you really made them your own. And then that's what you're sharing with someone else. And then they're going to take those pieces and parts that you're sharing with them and make it their own. It's such an incredible way to help people get to the next stop on their career path faster.
Absolutely. Oh, that was a big goal of mine. As soon as I could mentor, I wanted to, because it took me a lot longer than I wanted to learn things in my path. And I remember thinking, if I just had someone to focus on me and guide me and mentor me, I know I could have gotten there faster. But that's okay, because everything I learned, I was able to teach others. So I wouldn't have learned what I learned, I guess.
Right.
You could look at it that way. So
Yeah. And causes for us to be more creative and inventive and resourceful
yes.
about how we're building who we are and how we're progressing along the path. But then, of course, how we're pulling others along the way with us when we get to those positions where we can use that social capital to really help elevate others on their path and their journey. Now, at Plaza, you've got a completely different experience from how you originally started with mentoring. And I think our audience will be really impressed with how Plaza does it. Would you share with us? Plaza has emphasized the importance of mentoring and your role in that world of mentoring.
You wanted to be mentor. If you wanted to be menteed, you would fill out a questionnaire. If you wanted to be a mentor, you'd fill out a questionnaire. And then based on how the mentor candidate filled out and the mentee candidate filled out, then you would match them up. So if the mentee said, I want to learn all about capital markets, right? So that mentee would be matched up with someone in our capital markets team. Or I want to learn about how to run a business. And then we have that where we matched up with our CFO or our president of the company. So, or I want to learn correspondent, and they'd match up with me. So it's great because you match up what the mentee wants to learn. And then you also add other pieces, which is personality type. Are they gregarious? Are they outgoing? Are they more of an introvert? So you can maybe match them up accordingly. And so that's how we did it. And I was able to match up with a mentee who was yearning not only to learn about the correspondent world, but just how to be a leader, a female leader in our industry. And our training department said, we've got just the right person. And so we did. We matched up, she and I. Her name is Sani Che. And we had a great year or two together where we talked every week in the beginning, and then it became once every month as she started getting more busy and I started, but it was great. And that questionnaire that our training team put out there is literally, it's not only a questionnaire, but it's a buy-in from both people. I'm not just doing this for funsies. Like I'm going to commit. We're all busy. We have a lot of work to do in our industry. It's fun, but we're going to commit to this. We're going to set aside I don't know, an hour a week, a half hour a week, and we're going to each commit to what the other person needs, because even a mentor learns, by the way, not just the mentee, because as you're talking, you're like, yeah, I used to do that. And this is what I learned. And so you forget some of the things you've learned throughout your experience, that when you start to talk about it with a mentee, you remember a lot of things come back to you. So the learner and the learnee are the best, just equally learn. Keep using
I love that. And it's such a smart way to organically grow people. There are lots of mentoring databases out there and lots of mentoring services out there. And there's nothing wrong with finding mentors outside of your organization. It's a new way to grow. It's new insights. It's a new lens. But to have that organic method of being intentional and really focused on the areas where a person has interest, or maybe an area that's going to bring them joy and help them fulfill their need and drive their engagement in the organization, is so stinking smart. I mean, I work with organizations and help them develop organic ways to create leaders, and Plaza is doing that through the mentoring program that they have. And so smart, so smart.
It's great. I love it. And I hope to keep doing it. So,
well, you've been rocking it, because I remember from our conversation that you shared why you mentor and how you've seen the impact to really develop others. And you had a great short story of someone you're particularly proud of about the mentoring you did and how that's amplified the mentee. And I would love for you to share that with our audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I mentioned her name earlier, Sani Che. She was great in our QA department, and she was very low-level analyst, just learning the ropes and getting to learn herself in this business, and didn't really understand all the parts of our industry. And so we started there first, like kind of the nuts and bolts of the mortgage at the very end. When all is said and done on the loan, sometimes when it's too late, her world gets involved. So everything leading up to it was fascinating to her. So we started there before we even got to how to be a leader woman in this industry. So once we got into the meat of how a loan starts and ends, and she learned all that, then she started feeling more confident and asking great questions during our mentoring sessions. And then it was more like, well, what should I do about my career? How should I grow? So it was interesting. She went from, I don't know what's going on here. Now I know. Now how do I keep growing? And she did. And she continued to every session since then. She started to ask more kind of high level questions, what it's like to be a woman in our industry. How do you grow and how do you learn more? And how do you even have a voice to say, hey, I know this part of my job. I now want to learn this and I want to keep going up. And she learned that through our talking about it during our sessions. She then went back to her managers, and next thing you know, she's accelerating and she's growing up the ranks and she's a manager herself. So,
Wow.
but that all took confidence and having confidence in yourself. So for her, she's like, I want to learn the nitty gritty first. And then I want to know what it's like to get confidence. So it was like a 2-part session, which is what took us a while to get to. And you don't think how much is involved when someone knows really not a lot. But once they know it, then it's like this other piece. It's not you can't quantify it. It's this confidence piece, this inner, how to be vulnerable and things like that, that how do you communicate effectively? Those are things no one teaches you, and you can't quantify them just by reading a book. So it was great to see her evolve from learning this to then how to become more effective in the leadership world.
Well, I think that she is the perfect example, and that relationship's the perfect example of how you've taken that promise you made to yourself that when you had the opportunity that you were going to bring others along on their journey, that you were going to help them to get there faster. What a great example of keeping that promise, but really amplifying someone in your organization to help them organically grow and move into from the lowest starting level to a manager level. And I'm sure she's going to rock it out into future leadership as well.
For sure. Me too. I agree with you. I'm so proud of her. And it feels good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good. So.
Yeah. I think that that's one of the things that some people fail to realize about being a mentor or even being a mentee is that there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from that. And I think that there are people still in our audience who really have some reticence about becoming a mentor. So if you were going to address that group, what recommendations would you make from the lessons that you've gained?
I would say you got to be authentic. You have to be comfortable in just saying, I want to help or I need help. And you need to be comfortable being vulnerable. And the more vulnerable you are, the more people are comfortable with you. So if I'm a mentor and I'm like, all like formal, my mentee or whoever is thinking about being a mentee is not going to think I'm approachable. But if I'm authentic, I'm empathetic, I show like, hey, I'm here for you. I have open arms. I'm here for you. Let's work together. Let's work together. I think they'll feel better to work with me. And I think that's the biggest part is the fact that I'm vulnerable and that I am authentic. They would love that. And I think it makes me more approachable from what I can tell so far in my experience with mentoring, because I've mentored several since Sani. So
I would 100% agree with that. So I'm just going to say to the audience, my friends, for those of you who think that to be a mentor, you have to be a certain way, you don't. You get to be authentically you. Just be comfortable in your own skin, be vulnerable, follow Salpi's advice, and you're going to have the same type of success that she has with pouring into others, and you're going to gain too. So we're going to challenge everybody that's watching today to step in, lean into who you are and become a mentor to someone in your organization or even in your community. It doesn't have to be someone that's on your team or within your organization. It could be someone else in the industry. There are a lot of folks out there that are looking for people who have experience and a desire to pour into others to be a mentor with them. So I think that if you want to follow some great advice, you need to listen to what Salpi shared today. All right, everybody. We want to thank you for being with us. And Salpi, thank you for opening up and being vulnerable and sharing your story about mentoring and your journey about mentoring. Our audience could not have benefited more. So thank you for being a part of this conversation today, and also all the work that you're doing with the Education Committee at CapitalW. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. This is great. Really appreciate it, Stacey.
Okay, everyone, we look forward to seeing you at another Mentoring Matters session with our next great guest. Thank you for joining today, and go out there and make a difference for someone.